What's up, closers? Dominic here on another Warrior Wisdom Walk. You'll be happy to hear that I'm up to 60 pounds in my weighted vest. So we're definitely cranking it up a notch as my body's getting stronger by the day. So I'm igniting the greatness within. I hope you're all doing the same. Optimize your true potential in life. Today's Warrior Wisdom Talk is all about creativity. That's a word you don't hear enough in the world today. Creativity. And with the rise of technology and certainly the dawn of AI, this is something that's absolutely getting destroyed in most human beings, the ability to think and create for themselves. I just want to talk about creativity in sales and why this is so important. So often when I do my sales trainings, I refer to two different types of thinking, two different thought processes. You got divergent thought and you got convergent thought. And a lot of people don't talk about the difference between divergent and convergent. Well, as it turns out, when we're young kids, especially ages 4 and 5, we're primarily in a divergent way of thinking. Now, if I were to compare the two, convergent is straight line thought, where you try to figure out the one obvious solution to a problem. Whereas divergent is like a spider web. It goes in any and all directions, and you figure out any and all possible ways to solve a problem. So the example I like giving when I'm doing my training, if I were to go up to a grown-ass man and hand him a box and say, "Excuse me, sir, can you tell me what this is?" And I put the box in his hand. The grown-ass man would look at me and say, "Well, this is a box, dipshit. What are you talking about?" So that's a convergent thought process, right? The one obvious answer to a problem. Whereas if you take that same box and you hand it to a 4 or 5-year-old, what types of answers are you going to get? You're going to get infinite possibilities. Fill in the blank. It could be a space shuttle. It could be a race car. It could be a boat, a raft. It could be a rocket ship, whatever. Fill in the blank. It could be infinite things. And my wife and I used to laugh, and I'm sure a lot of parents can relate. You know, you make all of this investment in Christmas gifts for your kids, and they wind up playing with the boxes more than the presents. And every year you're scratching your head. You're like, what are we doing this for? As a matter of fact, one year we leaned into it, and one of their gifts we got was a big box that they could play with in color. And it was one of their favorite gifts. So now, why does this happen? There's actually an amazing study done, and it was a creativity study conducted by a man named Dr. George Land. This guy was actually hired by NASA to create a creativity test that you could implement on people of any age and any level of intelligence, and all it measured was creativity. And that's important because it didn't have anything to do with your knowledge or your innate intelligence, your IQ. It was just all about how creative are you? What's your ability to think outside the box, color outside the lines, so to speak? And what he did was interesting. The way this test was engineered, you could actually have children of any age take this test, and it would give you accurate results. So he did something very interesting. He did a longitudinal study on a group of children, and longitudinal simply means that he tested the same group of children every 5 years to see how their results would change as they went through the K through 12 indoctrination brainwashing program we call the modern day education system. Again, nothing against people that are in school, but the story will make sense as I go along here. So what he found was when he tested kids ages 4 and 5, 98% of them tested at genius levels of creativity. Genius levels of creativity, 98%. And what that tells me is basically 100% of us are born with genius levels of creativity because we were designed to create. We have this amazing gift as human beings to turn thought into creation, right? So we're all born with this gift to create. Then what ended up happening is he took the same group of children 5 years later when they were 10, and only 30% of them tested at genius levels of creativity. So within that 5-year gap between 5 and 10, it went from 98% to 30. Then he tested the same group when they turned 15. Only 13% of the same children tested at genius levels of creativity. And then the saddest part, by the time they hit adulthood, only 2% of all those children tested at genius levels of creativity. And that's really, really sad, right? Now, how does this relate to sales? Is creativity important in sales, true or false? Is it important to be able to think on your feet, think outside the box, color outside the lines occasionally, to come up with a creative solution to the challenges and obstacles you're going to face inevitably in a sales encounter? I think too often salespeople have too much convergent thinking. They just try to figure out the one obvious answer to a problem, and then when that doesn't work, they give up. And I like to share some examples, right? Like, I had a sales rep one time that showed up to a house on a sales encounter, knocked on the door, no one was answering. So I always train my salespeople to check around the back, make sure they're not in the back doing chores or something. So he walked around the back of the house, and sure enough, the husband and wife were on their back deck staining it. And they were right in the middle of staining their deck. Now, I guarantee in that case, because most salespeople are in a convergent mindset, they would have been like, well, they're staining their deck, I can't do a presentation, I'm going to reschedule this appointment. Whereas this salesperson, because we always encourage creativity, try to be solution oriented, instead of saying, why can't I? You got to ask yourself, how can I, right? So this salesperson says, you know what, I've always wanted to do this. You know, I love staining, I love woodworking. If you don't mind, I'd love to help you finish this project. So I don't have anything else going on today. I'd love to be able to roll up my sleeves and join you if that's okay. So they welcomed him with open arms. He rolls up his sleeves, helps him stain the deck. Obviously, while he's staining the deck, he's building wicked rapport. They're not talking about anything related to the project. He's just building an incredible foundation of trust and rapport and likability. And by the time they were done, he already has such a rock solid level of trust in a relationship with these homeowners. It was one of the easiest lay down sales of all time. And I had another sales rep that showed up to a house where, you know, I live in Wisconsin. We got a lot of farm country out here, a lot of milking cows, right? People that run dairy farms. And sure enough, the husband was in the back barn milking the cows when the salesperson showed up. And again, instead of trying to call it an NQ or reschedule the lead, the salesperson's like, oh, you know, one of my bucket list things I've always wanted to do was milk cows for a day. It would really mean the world to me if I could actually join and help you guys out. Is that okay? So he ends up going back to the barn, introduced himself, ends up helping roll up his sleeves, milking cows for a few hours. And by the time he went back in, it was one of the easiest lay down sales of all time. Had an amazing relationship already built. So those are just a few examples, but my challenge to everybody, the good news is creativity can only be dimmed, but it can never go away entirely. Like a candle, it dims, right? But you can reignite that creativity within you. So you got to start by being solution oriented. Get that idea manufacturing machine going early in the day and try to figure out new and exciting ways to overcome the challenges and obstacles. And I want you to get back to that inner 4 and 5-year-old that's already there. You know, and Rick Grosso always used to share that the child is master to the adult. And I definitely believe that's true because children are so damn creative. They have such an imagination. So just don't underestimate the power of creativity. Don't be the 98% of people that just allow their creativity to be crushed. And really be careful now with the dawn of technology, smartphones and AI. Don't rely on this for everything all the time. You know, I know people that can't even send a text to their spouse without using AI now. They have no ability to think for themselves. And that's not making you smarter. Think about that. 98% of adults didn't have creativity before AI. What do you think it is today? So I just want to warn everybody, like, AI is a useful tool. Technology is great. All these things going on, but really try to focus on being able to think for yourself. Make sure you're investing time trying to come up with your own thoughts, feelings, and ideas. And I like the Bruce Lee quote. You see, like, learn from everyone, discard what is useless, keep what is useful, and create what is uniquely your own, right? So I think that's stuff that we can do, but you got to make sure you're using your brain every day. You're creating. You're using that amazing gift that we have, being these creators we were born to be. So get back to that genius level of creativity. It's already inside of you. You just got to ignite that, right? That's why we talk about igniting that greatness within. You have that creative greatness deep within you. You just got to pour jet fuel on it and make sure you're training that muscle every day. Muscles can get atrophied, but you can get that strength back if you do regular training, right? Your brain is like any other muscle. So I hope this inspired people. Be solution oriented, think outside the box. Don't be so convergent in your thought process. Be divergent like the 4 and 5-year-old, and you too can become a top performer in your chosen profession. So again, here's today's Warrior Wisdom Talk. I appreciate everyone's time. On behalf of Grosso University, yes, you are closer.